My phone is against me tonight. My phone is actually against me tonight. Ooh, yeah. Hi, guys. I could literally cry right now. As you can see, I have 60% of my face done. Yes, I was in the middle of filming, and guess what my phone does? Storage full. Woo, I could cry. But it's cool because it's more about the story than it is about the makeup, okay? It's more about the Bible story, okay? We're here to spread the gospel in the midst of adversity. Hello from my side of the screen. My name is Leah Mojo, and welcome back to my channel where I retell stories from the Bible while putting my makeup on in a series called Cosmetic Creed. If you're ever interested to know which makeup products I use on my face, I always link them in the description box below. And if you're interested to know where I purchased my personal study Bible from, I also link that in the description box as well. Am I fuming on the inside right now because you guys missed all of this? Look at this beat. Look at how it was coming together, okay? I am so upset. As always, grab yourself a drink, make yourself comfortable. But first, disclaimer. I am not a pastor, nor theologian, nor historian. I am simply a lover of Jesus and makeup. That's it. I encourage you to read the good book for yourself. If you have any questions or doubts, that just makes you human. Not here to change anyone's opinions, but I do hope that this series is life-giving and opens us all up to exploring and stretching our individual faiths whilst encouraging us to think outside of ourselves. Cool? I bet. Let's get into it. I'm not starting over. I'm just not, because I was really feeling the way this is coming together. So you guys are going to get the second half of this makeup look, and the first half is just going to be me retelling the first half of this story. Sorry to be so aggressive. My emotions are on 27 right now on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, so if you watched last week's video, I talked about Judah and Tamar, which was Genesis chapter 38. So I did kind of skip around a little bit. Judah and Tamar was like a detour from Joseph's story, which technically starts in chapter 37, but it just made more sense to skip around and tell that story by itself. And if you haven't seen that video, pause this, watch last Saturday's video, because Judah and Tamar, they're a mess. But today we're going to start on chapter 37, which begins Joseph's story. And guys, I love Joseph. I love him because he's a dreamer, okay? And I'm a dreamer, right? Dreamers unite. Not all of our dreams be coming true. You know what I'm saying? Like having a phone that actually records your footage like you want it to. But I digress. Let's get into it. Let's get into the story, Leah. Okay, so chapter 37 introduces Joseph as our main character. And if you don't remember, Joseph is the firstborn of Jacob and Rachel. Rest in peace to her. Okay, so Joseph is about 17 when this story pops off, and he's out looking, after some sheep with his brothers. Now, it's important to note that Joseph is basically like the favorite son of Jacob, which is wild because Jacob has 13 kids altogether. Like, I could never. No offense to anyone watching with 13 kids, okay? Pop off, Brady Bunch, if that's what you want to do. So to show how much Jacob favored Joseph to the rest of his kids, he made him this coat or cloak of many colors. So of course his brothers see this and they're just like, oh my God. They weren't already rolling their eyes at him before. They really can't stand this guy now, Joseph thinks he's so special with his rainbow coat. They probably fried him on the daily. Okay, so Joseph is not liked by his brothers, obviously. I mean, they treat him like absolute crap. So it doesn't help that one night Joseph has this dream. And in the dream, Joseph and his brothers are all like binding these like sheaths together, like of grain or whatever. And Joseph's grain suddenly rises upright, and all of the brothers' grain starts to like bow down to Joseph's grain. I know, right? Who does this kid think he is? And to add reality insult to dream injury, Joseph tells his brothers about this dream that he had. And I mean, they were triggered AF.
Oh, so you think you're better than us now, Joseph? Just because Dad loves you more? You think you're the boss now? Huh? Huh, big guy?
So they hated him even more for sharing his dream. Could have kept that one to yourself, Joseph. But he still doesn't learn. So he had another dream of the same nature, and he tells his brothers this dream as well as his father. So in the dream, he saw the sun, the moon, and the stars. Well, 11 stars to be specific. And they were all like bowing down to him. Oh, now you got the planets, bro. Now his brothers already couldn't stand him, but this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Even his father, who was like obsessed with him, was just like,
Boy, what you dreaming about? You think your brothers and I will bow down to you? You think we're gonna worship you one day? Aw. Aw, that's so cute.
probably more like a sarcastic, not taking him serious thing. I don't think like that his father was like seriously upset about it or triggered by it. But Jacob did kind of tuck that little information away just in the back of his head. Like, maybe this kid might be something one day. I don't know. Okay, I think I can pick up where my camera left off now. So if you guys want to see the palette I'm using. Isn't it so cute? Oh my God. I love it so much. Okay, sorry, back to the story. And no, I was much farther into the story where I stopped my makeup, but I'm just gonna start because, you know, I just need something to do while telling this. Okay, so it is also important to note that Joseph would sometimes report back to his father about his brother's behavior in the field when they were tending sheep or supposed to be tending sheep, which leads us to believe that sometimes they weren't doing that. Okay. So Jacob kind of had Joseph as his little, his little spy, you know what I'm saying? And he would report back to his dad about what was really going on in them fields, just to make sure his brothers were actually working, you know what I'm saying? So one day Jacob sends Joseph out to the fields to see if his brothers were actually working. And Joseph goes to where his brothers said that they would be, and these hoes ain't there. So some random guy sees Joseph and he's like, hey kid, you look a little lost. Like, can I help you find something or someone? And Joseph's like, yeah, I'm actually looking for my brothers. They said they would be here tending to these sheep or whatever. And the guy is like, oh yeah, I actually saw them. Yeah, they left. They said that they were heading to Dothan. Now I Googled it. It ain't no short distance, okay? But now Joseph's got to travel to find his brothers in some city called Dothan. So his brothers end up spotting him way off in the distance. And he must have been a good little distance away because, like he was still out of ear's reach. You know what I'm saying? Like he couldn't hear what they were talking about. Because before he got to them, they started plotting to get rid of him. Their vision must have been bomb. Cause I can't see worth a rat's. So anyway, they peep him in the distance, like that. They peep him, and they're like, "Ugh, this guy again. Here comes the dreamer or whatever." Just mad salty, right? And some of them were like, "Yo, we should just off him. Like, we should just get rid of him. Toss him into one of these little empty cisterns over here and say that one of the animals did it. He's a pain in the peach emoji, So yeah, his other brothers were like, yeah, let's kill him. But Reuben, who was the oldest of the brothers, was just like, nah, let's not. Yeah, he's annoying AF, but killing him is like mad extreme. Absolutely not. I don't want his blood on my hands, you know what I'm saying? But we could very well throw him into one of these empty cisterns. I just don't want to kill him, you know what I'm saying? But we could still throw him into one of the empty cisterns. Now, cisterns are similar to wells, but they're not as deep, and people normally did not drink from them. Trust me, I Googled it. Now, Reuben just didn't want Joseph dead because, what would that do to his dad, So by the time Joseph gets to them, they had agreed on this plan to dump him alive into one of the cisterns. Now, to make matters worse, Joseph was wearing this special coat that his father had made for him. And his brothers were just really sick of seeing it, Joseph out here, fresh to death, and his brothers are wearing some raggedy beat up cloaks, looking mad dusty. At this point, the coat is just triggering. It's like a bunch of bulls seeing a red cape. So his brothers just straight up roughed him up, man. Ripped the coat right off his back and tore it to shreds. Rude, right? I know. And proceeded to straight up yeet Joseph into this little cistern, which was empty, by the way. So, ouch. So homie hits the bottom and his brothers are literally just sitting down eating their lunch as if this is normal, you know, just another day in the field. Now, I'm assuming that Ruben walked away at this point, and I'll explain why I assume that he walked away in just a second. So the brothers just happen to look up and they see some people traveling who had a bunch of like goods with them. And they were taking the goods to Egypt, probably to sell them or something. So Judah peeps this as a clever opportunity to get some shmoney. And he's like, yo, what good would it do? Okay, hear me out. What good would it do to kill our brother when we could make some money off of him? We could just sell him. And his brothers were like, oh my God, that's genius. Wild. My brothers would never. I'm the backbone of this family. So when the merchants were passing by, the brothers actually end up pulling Joseph from the cistern and they sell him for like 20 shekels or something. Now I Googled this to see how much 20 shekels is worth in US dollars. My man's got sold for about $6. Wow. So the Bible says that Reuben returns at this point, which is why I assumed that before he walked away. So he wasn't there for this little transaction. And he sees that the cistern is empty. Joseph was just there. Now it's empty. So he's freaking out a little bit like, yo, what happened? Where is Joseph? So of course he's freaking out and the brothers are like, yo, chill. Okay, we need to devise a plan to something to tell dad. So they devise this plan to rip up Joseph's cloak of many colors, put some blood on it, and tell their dad that an animal got to Joseph. And there was just nothing we could do, Dad. I mean, there was 12 of us. There was just nothing we could do. So they do just that. They rip it and they dip it in animal blood to make it look like Joseph's blood. And they go back home and they show the staged cloak to their father, Jacob. And once again, my man's is through, okay? Sick. Of course he believed his sons that their brother had been ripped to shreds by some ferocious animal. Because, like, why would they lie, you know? They were like, who's gonna know? How would they know? So, of course, he, like, mourned his son for many days and had, like, a funeral of sorts. Now, all the rest of his kids tried to comfort him, but he was just beyond comfort at this point. That death just really hit hard. Jacob was just like, I'm just going to continue to mourn my son until I can be with him in the afterlife. Wow. I mean, espresso depresso. Meanwhile, the merchants who had purchased Joseph sold him to this guy named Potiphar. And Potiphar was kind of a big deal, okay? He was captain of the guard, Pharaoh's guard in Egypt. So anyway, this is where chapter 38 begins, which was Judah's story. It was kind of like one of those meanwhile chapters, but I believe Judah ended up leaving because his father was so depressed over Joseph's death, and Judah just couldn't handle his dad's depression, so he bounced, and that's why he ended up in all his mess. Well, if it isn't the consequences of our actions. Okay, so back to Joseph. Now we're in chapter 39. So a couple years have passed. Okay, remember that Joseph is now in Egypt. So Joseph's a little older, you know, probably in his mid-20s or so. He's got some hair on his chest, okay? Some bass in his voice. Everyday slaving, everyday labor has done Joseph's body some good. Now the Lord was with Joseph despite all of this hardship that he had gone through. Because this whole time, Joseph is just really prospering. You know what I'm saying? He's living pretty nice. Joseph even found favor with Potiphar, and he trusted Joseph so much that he put him in charge of basically everything that was in the palace. I mean, the only things that were higher than Joseph were Potiphar and Pharaoh. Okay, so everything is good. He's good with Potiphar. They're homies. He's living comfy. Joseph is flourishing. His skin is glowing. Muscles glistening. He's just turning into a stress-free snack. Well, let's sprinkle a little stress into this story, shall we? Now, Potiphar had a wife. And his wife was also noticing how beautiful Joseph had become. And one day she catches him working and literally was like, you know, you and I should, like, sleep together or something. And Joseph was like, what? He's like, nah, fam. I just wouldn't do that to God. And I just could never do that to Potiphar. Basically, Joseph was like, girl, bye. I'm good, love. Now, this little exchange was probably the first of a few because this wife of Potiphar seemed pretty persistent. She would make several advances towards Joseph daily. Okay? Probably showing him like a leg, a thigh, a rib, all of which he turned down. It was to the point where he was probably like sliding out of rooms when he would see her coming, okay? And that really pissed her off, especially after a little while of doing it and getting nothing in return. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's a wife got to do to get her husband's assistant to sleep with her, you know?
I have thrown myself at this man multiple times, and every time he says no. He turns me down. How dare he? Who does he think he is?
So one day, Joseph comes to the house to do his household duties, you know, like a normal day, right? But the servants are nowhere to be found, which is highly unusual. A little sus, right? A little sus. Joseph comes through the house and he's just like, hello? Not a peep. But guess who comes sashaying out to test him again? Potiphar's wife. She probably got her Savage Fenty on, you know what I'm saying? Looking good. Thirsty, okay? But Joseph is still like, no, woman, I will not. My God. Now this must have really aggravated her. So there had to be like a little physical altercation between the two of them because she must have like tried to throw herself at him physically again, and he ended up like running from her, and she managed to like grab a hold of his cloak. Like he literally ran from the house to escape her. Oh, shorty was livid. Mad ain't the word. The audacity of him to run from me. So she calls for her servants, who all of a sudden all want to come back in the house.
And she's like, help, help. Look what this Hebrew has tried to do to me. He tried to take advantage of me. Okay, but I fought him off. I screamed and he ran, but I grabbed his cloak for proof. I am the victim here. It really happened this way, I swear.
And she told Potiphar the same malarkey as soon as he got home.
This is how your slave treated me.
Ugh, I can't stand this kind of woman. Now, he was mad for sure, but Potiphar knew Joseph, okay? Now, I really feel like he didn't even believe his wife, honestly, because if he really truly believed that Joseph tried to physically take advantage of his wife, he probably would have had Joseph killed on sight. But because of who Potiphar is and who his wife is, he had to do something. So he decides to throw Joseph into the king's prison. But God was still with Joseph, even here. Oh yeah, if I was Joseph, I would have been all types of angry. I mean, livid, pissed. I ain't even do nothing. But Joseph is treated with kindness and respect in the prison. And he becomes trusted by the warden. So much so that Joseph is placed in charge in the prison. And everything that happened in the prison was under Joseph's supervision. Look at God. I mean, he's still in jail, but he's flourishing. Now it'd be like that, living this life sometimes with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Gang, gang. And there's a lot you can learn from this part of Joseph's story. It's still the beginning. And I mean, he really does start off in the gutter. Literally. But he was like the king of the gutter, you know? I love Joseph's story because, see, it wasn't about the surroundings. It was about what was in him. Amen? I don't know who needs to hear this on today, but this is for the dreamers out there. Myself included. Now, I've never been to jail, but I've been in some metaphorically gutter situations. And it didn't match my dreams. Still doesn't. How did I end up in the gutter, Lord? When you showed me the palace, okay? Huh? How, Sway? Make it make sense. Oh, it will. Just you wait and see. It's a journey, man. This was only part one. Believing that for myself, too. So this story is to be continued because it's only the beginning. So next week, we will see Joseph's chapter of life locked up and what comes out of that. Oh, that about wraps up this Bible story and makeup look. Oh my God, tonight was so rough filming, guys. It was so rough. My phone is actually about to die. And you missed half of the look. I'm sorry. But I knew this look was going to be fire and I just did not want to take it all off and redo it because I wouldn't have been able to recreate this a second time. This is probably the best makeup look I've ever done, in my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. Be sure to like this video if you liked this video and subscribe for more content. Follow me on Instagram because that's where I be at. And I will see you soon for next week's video. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.